All right, friends who are playing along at home, maybe you should have eaten less candy last night, but we are taking a little scavenger hunt through Schoology to find our homework help. Now, we are also, all of us, like you live in front of me, not the chat, right? We're going to look at something else too. So everyone go back to like the start of Schoology. And yes, I think there is a 4-tab limit. So I'm not saying you have to close the thing you just got to. But if you want to, like, open a new tab, you always can. When we go to links, not like Link's house unless he's going to invite us over. When we go to the links folder, notice the first CPM thing here says CPM what? This isn't homework help. The ebook, and guys, I want you to check this link to make sure it's working and you can log in, because I'm checking like that you have access to the site. Everyone click on that link, the one that says this isn't homework help. If it won't open, it's because you have too many links open. I always suggest that you leave Schoology by clicking this again, and that might be when you have to actually like close a different link that you had open extra. It will make you, like, it'll ask you to log in. Do not type in your info, just click on the Google icon, whatever. Griffin, you going to go back and do ebook? Thank you. Sorry, my computer finally caught up. Do not type in. Click your Google login info. We use single sign-on, so you should not have to type anything in. And then click like allow or join or whatever it's saying. You should get to the page where you can click on ebook. I don't know if I can get back to that page without logging out. You should get to the page where you just have to click on ebook and go ahead and click on ebook. One of them, so that they're both blue and purple, right? On your screen, one of them says ESP. Isaac, I don't know. I think you just have to hit agree or something. Kyra, same with you. I think you just need to click that green button. Anyone have a guess of what that ESP means? Montse? Espanol. So unless you want to do Spanish and math at the same time, you shouldn't. You don't know Spanish well enough yet. Just click on the regular Core Connections 2 book. What? So they named their book Core Connections, which actually they've now renamed it to Inspiring Connections. So the Common Core, the math standards, is algebra and geometry. Right, that's how math has always been kind of split up. And then there's trigonometry and calculus and other branches. CPM has put them together. So they have connected the algebra and the geometry. I think that's why they named it Core Connections. If you had come into class and I told you, hey, we're doing 3.2.3 today, go to 323 in the ebook, this is how we get there. So everyone click chapter 3, 323. If you scroll down this page, you'll find the homework that we're looking at. 59, 60. So you can find 62. What's this link say? Click it. There's another way to get to homework help right there. But the other way, where you don't have to go through the ebook, is if you went from our links page, which you don't have to go back and do this since you're on homework help now, but if you follow the homework help page, and guys, you can get to this from anything. Like, you can get to this from your cell phone. You don't have to log in. Chapter 3, 323, right, number 62. All right, so before we start writing this on our homework, I want us to look at our homework paper. So if you wrote your name on your homework paper, right, and you maybe wrote your letter group, today's date is November 1, but really it's going to be Monday's homework. What's the first thing your paper says? Do you think this means this is your homework? Yeah. Do you think that means it's your homework? So do you think if we don't get that done during class, you have to go finish that? No. This, I said what? Did I say the whole paper was your homework? Look further down your paper. Right here. I would put a star here since you're getting used to how I do homework. I would maybe even grab a highlighter out of the bin in front of you and highlight it since Monday is so far away. This is where your practice work starts. Nothing above that has to be completed outside of class. However, if we do this in class, I expect that you have done what we have done, right? If we do this during class, you should have it done. So you could still get a check minus for this stuff not being done if I know we did it together and you sat there and stared at the wall instead of doing the math that we did together. So just don't stare at the wall and instead do what we do during class. If you want to make another note, like last class, I wrote like not homework because I know we got a lot of sick people and I'm going to put these like in the bin. Like this section is not your homework. However, homework starts here, and do you think it's just problem 59? No, it's also the back of the paper, which you have a back of the paper because this is my master copy that I made copies of this morning. So, 62 is one of your homework problems. I want you with your partner, or I mean you each have a Chromebook up, look up 62C in homework help. But then I'm also going to tell you another little like strategy that we can do. I will go ahead and pass this out today, but we need to get in the habit of we pretty much always use graph paper. So you already have a piece, right? We can use graph paper to copy down what they show us to do that problem. Because guys, this is our homework. We might as well go ahead and get a problem done. So what is... It's not even step one. They just call it like hints. When you click on 62C, that first box they give you, I don't think it's step one. I think it just says hint. What does it say? You already have it. But look at how big their rectangle is. So guys, if you haven't clicked that first box, click that click box. Look at the rectangle they drew. Can anyone figure out why they chose the size they did? Anyone have a guess of... So their rectangle, it's 3 tall, it's 8 wide. Monsa? The denominators. Our denominators are 8 and 3. So I'm talking about eighths, and I'm talking about thirds. So you could... on your paper here, just start trying to draw. Okay, I'm going to draw a rectangle, and I'm going to try to split it up, and I'm going to hope that these lines are straight. Or, get a piece of graph paper, make your life easier. Let's draw a 3x8 in our graph paper, because it's already made into boxes for us. So if we're doing what they're doing, I'll try to do a little screen-in-screen action here. I'm going to start my rectangle. Count 3 down, 1, 2, 3. I'm going to count 8 over, 1, 2. I'm going to make my rectangle on my graph paper because it makes my life easier. And guys, I also have half pages of graph paper and quarter pages of graph paper beside the trays back there. If you look to the left of the tray, I have cut up graph paper back there. So if you don't want to use a whole page, now you might use more of this graph paper as you keep doing your homework. So that's why I gave you guys all full pages. You might use more of this. But reminder, as we're using graph paper for our homework, the holes go on the left side of the paper. We start using graph paper at the top left. The only reason I'm not is I already did this problem once. So I was folding this to kind of cover that up. Start at the top left of the graph paper. We have holes on the left side, like we're going to care about how we structure this. Because if we go to turn this in with our homework, When I turn this in with my homework, I'm going to line up the holes with the graph paper and my homework. I'm going to staple this so then I can end up putting it back in my binder. But, like, not right now. We're working on this together. So, what then? That's the wrong class. Arnya's not in this class. Ruth is not in this. This is why I label most of my little things. Callum, what's the next step they tell us here? What is step 1? Shade 3/8. So let's go ahead and do that. Now, I would split up your box with lines so you can actually like see the different sections. But this is your practice. I also would use highlighters or color coding, like colored pencils. But like, so my 3/8, I'm going to shade those in yellow. Can't see them crazy, like from far away. But then, Anna, what's the next step? Shade in 2/3, but we got to go the other direction. Because my thirds were going the other direction. So now I'm talking about this division across. And I need to shade 2 of them. Sophie not here, Jay not here. Kyra, what's the next? Oh, the next click box is literally answer. What's it say when we click answer? The darker overlapping region. So how many did we double shade? 6 out of how many total now? What is 3 times 8? Because we said this was a 3/8. So we get 6 out of 24. Can anyone figure out? That's really interesting. 6 out of 24 becomes our answer. Rad, do you notice anything? Go ahead. What's the easier way? Say it again, Rad. Brad just taught you how to multiply fractions. I've done no teaching today. In case the superintendent is watching this, Dr. Bowers, remember I taught your daughter. No, he would watch my channel. That is very much a joke. But guys, my point was showing you this, and what I was hoping out of today. You don't need me. At least not all the time. You need a math teacher. You don't really, like, this is not about me. This is about you learning math. You don't need me. I'm just the guy here for this year, for this 185 school days that you have. Then you're going to keep moving on. Like, I'm only your math teacher for a short amount of time. I'm trying to develop your skills of being able to get yourself help. I've not taught you multiplying fractions yet. We did adding and subtracting fractions last week. We were working with positive and negative numbers. We were doing all that. I have not taught you this. But through using homework help, looking at the resource available to us, and then Rad connecting it for us, Rad just said all we need to do is multiply numerator times numerator, denominator times denominator. So based off what Rad just told us, do you think you could do number D? I'm going to give you 30 seconds to go ahead and take care of that math problem for next week's homework. You can use what Rad just told you. Rad said multiply across the top, multiply across the bottom. We don't have to draw a rectangle. I would draw arrows across your top and bottom to remind you of what you're doing and how you did that. You can check in on homework help, see what help it might give if it goes to the answer. on your graph paper, we should put a label of 3.2.3 somewhere because this goes with that homework, right? So somewhere you should make sure to label that paper of like, it's kind of important. It goes with your 323. Wow, I love it when timing works out. You have the next 10 minutes to just explore. So, this is my master copy. This is not your homework. We're doing that on Monday. However, I bet you know how to do problem 59. At least most of it. And if you need help, homework help. You could work on some of the problems on the back. You could get with a partner and say, like, well, this one looks more difficult. Do you want to get on homework help together and talk it through? This is not tonight's homework. It's Monday's homework. But I wanted to take today to kind of like ease the transition of switching over to paper homework and let you get a little bit of a head start. You can use a calculator, but I need to see your work so I understand your thinking. Okay? So, like, obviously, if you're doing, like, -9 plus -9, like, and you just know what that is, you don't have to show work for that, right? Like, some problems don't need work. But other ones, I know, like, come on. When you go to do, I don't know, like, 61, there's a lot to keep track of. You're allowed to use a calculator, but not to do everything. So actually, guys, let's do 61C together. I'm doing another homework problem of yours. According to the order of operations, which I keep meaning to move my poster over by my watch your step sign, which, yes, that's my little, like, oh, steps, like mathematical steps, ha. But that was in a dumpster at college because they were doing construction. And then the construction project was over. So just to clarify, you should never steal street signs. That's very dangerous. But yeah, they were throwing this away. And I was like, how dare they? That's a good sign. So, yeah, which is technically not, you're not supposed to do that. It's not safe. Guys, I will be honest with you, or I'll tell you, like, yeah, I'm not going to answer that question. But, like, so, yeah, that's where I got that sign. Parentheses, these are not parentheses. Okay, they are parentheses. Does anyone know what I mean by, like, these are not parentheses? Van?
They don't have an equation inside of them.
Yeah, they're not parentheses that I can do anything inside of. So that is not parentheses step. There's nothing to do inside of them. So we move on past parentheses to exponents. Do we have exponents? Hey, you might want to make a little reminder on your paper, because we haven't done a ton of this. PEMDAS is 4 steps, not 6. You might want to write that reminder on your paper. Multiply and divide happen at the same time, left to right. Same thing with addition, subtraction. So normally when I write these down, I put arrows either just between the two of them or over top of multiply, divide, over top of add, subtract. So what's really the first thing I should be doing here? What's really the first math I should be doing in part C? No, because that's all the way down here at add, subtract. What's happening between this number and this number? This is multiplication. If you need to make that reminder, that's why I'm having us do this together. That's multiplying. So what's -5 times -3? Mason? Careful. What's the opposite of a negative? Guys, this is positive 15. A negative times a negative makes a positive. So then, we didn't do anything with the 4 yet. We used this as a -5, right? We wouldn't say plus minus. That was a negative. So we did -5 times -3. That's how we got positive 15. But we still have plus -7. Now we can add and subtract left to right. I knocked something off my desk and don't know what it was. Like, I felt it. I knocked something off, and I don't know where, like... You ever have that happen? Or, like, you drop something and you hear it, and then you just can't find it, and you're like, what the heck? Like, where did it go?
I have that feeling all the time.
Yeah, that, like, resting anxiety or whatever. Or the, what do they call, intrusive thoughts? Or something like that? Where it's, like, the negative thoughts of, like, I'm doing something wrong, I have done something wrong, like...
I had that last night. I was trying to find you all night, and I just couldn't.
For real?
Yes.
Did anybody... Because somebody, as they walked away from my house, said the Hudsons were unimpressed with us, but they hadn't said anything to me. Like, I didn't recognize any of them, so I didn't know if it was high schoolers who just, like, still knew who I was. Their costumes were not that impressive. Although one of them was in a Browns costume, which is pretty scary. Because the Browns are terrible. The football team. The Browns are just doing atrocious this year. That's why the joke is, like, it's scary. Hey, if we want to keep going, what's 4 plus 15? 19. What's 19 plus negative 7? Yeah, there's another one of your homework problems done. Boom. Hey, I love it when we circle or put boxes around final answers. You don't have to, but I love it. Like, it is way better. Way easier to look at your paper. I try to leave space on your homework, but if it's not enough space, use graph paper. Use a Post-it. Like, just use something to give yourself more space. It's like, it would be totally fine if I had ran out of space for doing work, and I grabbed a Post-it, and just like, all right, I'm going to keep doing more work, and then you just turn in your homework with a Post-it on it. Like, that's fine, because then I can lift it up and look at your other, like, it's fine. I am not a super, like, strict, like, stickler with, like, oh, well, you didn't structure this exactly like I showed you. Like, I just need you to do math how it makes sense to you. So, to reiterate, paper homework is not graded on right answers, but more so on did you do it? Did you work with it? Guys, you could have the whole process right and then get the answer wrong. And most of the time it's silly. Like, and that's when I'll be like, hey, Link, what's 8 plus 4? And I'll be like, yeah, well, you put 22 on your paper. It's not. 8 plus 4 is 12. And then we would just talk about that silly mistake. Right? Like, but if what I'm checking is can you do whatever skill, I'm not really checking can you do 8 plus 4 right now. I want you to be able to do 8 plus 4. But if what I'm checking is a different skill, that's what I'm focused on. Does that make sense? Grading is weird. I never thought about it when I was a kid of like how do teachers grade, but it is weird. Like, I assume you guys know how to add, because you should have learned that already. We've already practiced it, but we might still make mistakes occasionally, right? So even though we know how to do something, it doesn't mean we do it perfect every time. Sweet. You got the last couple minutes to work on whatever of these problems you want to work on. These are multiplications, by the way, when you're right up against parentheses. That's why we talked about it here, but also up here. These are multiplications when you're right up against... When a number's right up against parenthesis, or when a parenthesis is right up against a parenthesis. Like in D, bless you, these are also multiplication. Because two numbers up against with parentheses is multiplication. By the way, the other reason I love paper homework, do you guys all have different questions? No, you all have the same questions. Working together is not cheating. My other class has already switched over to paper homework. And I was telling them, like, they should work together on it. They're like, oh, so you want us to cheat? And I was like, who told you that practicing together is cheating? Like, who's ever played soccer, football, basketball, baseball? And, like, when you practice, I mean, you can practice alone, but doesn't it feel like you're getting more done when you practice with a team? Can't you sometimes do more with a team than you could on your own? Don't you sometimes push yourself harder because you have a team, like, with you, kind of encouraging you, than if you're just alone? Like, do work together, guys. This is Monday's homework. We will talk more about it Monday, but you have 2 minutes left whenever you want to start packing up. But, like, also, the one risk, please make sure your name is on this, not the one risk. Because if you lose it, I will either put it on the no-name board, or sorry, if your name is on it, I won't put it on the no-name board. I'll get it back to you. But guys, please clip this somewhere safe. Either in your math binder, or if you've decided you're not using a math binder, you can put it in your big binder in like your homework section, or if you want to make a math section. But if you put it in your math binder and you want to work on it, make sure you take your math binder with you, either today or Monday. Like, if it's homework, you need to be able to get to it. You said there's no way? It is better? It also, like, you can do your paper homework on the bus. You can do your paper homework while you're waiting for somebody else's class to start, like without getting out your Chromebook, right? Like, you can do your paper homework, I don't know, while you're waiting for youth group or Boy Scouts or whatever. Like, you can do it anywhere. Now, please don't like wad up your homework into your pocket and like put like. I'll still accept it. I'll just be annoyed, but like, because I had somebody do that one time. I was like, "Why does your homework look like this?" They're like, "Oh, I took it to Scouts with me." I was like, "Did you take it on a camp out?" Like, it looked a little rough, but you know, I still took it.
It looked like it was rough in that.
Yes.
Is this your house?
You're being weird right now. No, not even close.
Man, I went down the whole road. I went to like BP too.
You went too far then. I told you I'm on Salisbury.